Alright guys, today I'm going to be finding the worst movie ever rated. Let's go. So I'm going to be asking Wikipedia, IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes what the worst movies of all time are.
So to start off, we have Wikipedia with the movie The Terror of Tiny Town. And then Rotten Tomatoes, there's quite a few 0%ers, but Gotti seems to be the least rated one. And on IMDb, we had The Disaster Movie, which seems to be the lowest rated at 1.9 stars out of 95,000 ratings. Okay, so now that we have 3 different bad movies, let's try to figure out which one actually sucks the worst. Alright, so starting off with The Terror of Tiny Town, we have the IMDb rating of 4, the Rotten Tomato rating of 32%, and the Google rating of a 2.5 out of 5, averaging the entire thing out to a 41%. With Gotti, we have an IMDb rating of 4.8, the Rotten Tomato rating of a 0, and a Google rating of a 3, averaging it out to 36. And then with The Disaster Movie, we have a IMDb rating of 1.9, the Tomato rating of a 1%, and the Google rating of a 2.5, averaging it out to a 23. So The Disaster Movie is the worst rated movie out of all 3 of these movies. Wow, alright, so before I watch this movie, I'm going to give a quick synopsis on the plot while I make some popcorn. During a fateful night, a group of impossibly attractive 20-somethings must dodge a series of man-made and natural disasters. Twisters, asteroids, earthquakes, and singer Amy Winehouse are just some of the perils they face while trying to make their way to safety.
Alright, so I'm going to try to sit through an hour and 37 minutes of the worst movie ever rated. And I'm going to judge it based on these 4 criteria. So, wish me luck. Okay, alright. The Disaster Movie. Let's talk about it. So before I start, I want to say that I'm not a critic, and honestly, this movie had some moments that were pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. But for this rating to be accurate, we have to go through 4 different criteria, and I'll give you my honest opinion on how I felt about it. So let's start with the directing and the acting. So directed by Jason Fredberg and Aaron Seltzer, I believe. The whole movie was kind of just a bunch of sketches, is what it felt like, and a bunch of pop culture references to celebrities that were probably pretty popular around 2008 when this movie was made.
We're just playing with my monkey.
Amy Winehouse, Flava Flav, Dr. Phil. There was a bunch of people popping out left and right, front and center. And you know what? That part was kind of funny at first, but as it keeps going and the plot isn't progressing and the characters just keep coming out, it gets a bit frustrating as the audience, because I'm watching a movie and I didn't expect to watch an SNL skit. Kim Kardashian made an appearance in this movie. Kim, I think you're much better in American Horror Story Delicate than you were in The Disaster Movie, but hey, we all gotta start somewhere.
Boom. Roasted.
The actors themselves even seemed a bit confused, but there were some funny moments, so for the acting and directing, I'm gonna give it like probably a 4. So the cinematographer, Sean Maurer, was not actually that bad. I honestly found that the story itself was probably the weakest part, and the cinematography wasn't necessarily the hardest thing to watch. I'm not gonna really criticize the camera work too much because half the time it was for comedic purposes. For the cinematography's sake, I give it a 6.5. Sound effects and design. So this was really fun because the movie took a very comical, almost like just non-realistic approach to the sound effects and the sound design. Yeah, the sound design was actually kind of funny to me. They would do comically loud noises, comically loud explosions, parts that just didn't fit, but I think that added to it. So the sound design was not bad, considered that it was a comedy that needed that slapstick noise added. So for that, I'll give it a 7.5. And finally, we have the story. So I probably touched on the story a little bit with the directing, the acting part, but the story is the reason that this movie was probably rated so badly, and the reason that a lot of things end up being rated really badly, because story is the most important thing in every single film, period. So with a star-studded cast like this, you kind of expect everyone to be there for a reason. In this movie, it felt like no one was there for any particular reason, and again, it felt like one long skit. The purpose of this movie, from what I understand, is a group of people trying to survive a post-apocalyptic, some sort of a catastrophic event, and they kind of get sidetracked in doing so. But it kind of just seemed like they were just distracted the whole time, and it was a bunch of loop arounds around the same premise. The story simply didn't come through, and it was very chaotic.
I've heard to say the rating here, but I'd give it like a 1.
For final thoughts here, I do want to say this. Go watch this movie. Despite what anyone says, go watch the movie. And I really mean that, because it's not necessarily a bad film. Everything seemed okay for the most part. I think the story was just really weak, but if you want to have an easy laugh hanging out and eating food, put on this movie. Just watch it once. Was it as bad as having the lowest rating on the internet? No, not even close. And I think critics are very, very critical when it comes to things, but no, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's truly not.
Thank you for watching, and here's the next video. You should probably click it.